So the first UFC event of the year is upon us next weekend. It feels like it's been an eternity since we've had a fight.
Right.
And we've got a good one at light heavyweight. We have Magomed Ankalaev taking on Johnny Walker. You know, Johnny Walker, since he suffered that knockout loss to Jamal Hill, has looked pretty dang good. He submitted Ion Cutelaba. He's got a great knockout on his record of Paul Craig. And so he's certainly finding his groove. Now, Magomed Ankalaev has been perfect in the UFC except for his very first fight in which he was submitted by none other than Paul Craig. But he's a complete fighter. You know, he's got great striking, good grappling, which is what you expect out of the Dagestani stable of fighters. And it really feels to me like the winner of this fight is the likely next title challenger at 205, because Johnny Walker versus Alex Pereira, if he's still the champ, makes sense. That's a super fun fight. And then Magomed with another win, it's hard to kind of deny him that title shot that he's been circling for quite some time now. So one, what do you make of the fight? Obviously, the odds makers think this one's pretty skewed in the favor of Ankalaev. And then two, what could Johnny do to potentially upset the apple cart here and pull off an upset?
Well, skill-wise, I think they have the money in the right spot with Ankalaev. Ankalaev is a sure thing. And when it comes to 205, anything can happen. These guys are really big. They're explosive, especially these Johnny Walker types that love to strike, but they also live at around 230 pounds. One punch, one kick, one jump knee, anything like that can literally shut the lights out on anybody. And everybody possesses that kind of power at 205. And even though Ankalaev is very buttoned up top to bottom, you're not really going to find any hiccups in his game. Johnny Walker being so unpredictable and unorthodox, it makes everything a little bit different. You can't train for him properly because nobody else really moves like him, and he throws things that you don't see coming, and basically everything is wrong about what Johnny Walker does in some situations, but it ends up working, so you can't really say it's bad technique or anything like that.
Yep.
He's just fluid. He moves different than everybody else, and that's why Ankalaev's got to be very careful early on and pace himself. And he's got to understand that Johnny Walker's most dangerous rounds are always the first couple. If he's going to go on, jump off the cage and hit you with something, he's going to have more accuracy and more explosive power and more energy to do it in the early parts of the fight. Later on, Johnny Walker starts to gas a little bit. You can look for your takedowns a little bit easier. He's a big body and he carries a lot of muscle, so his hands start to trend towards his body and towards his torso, and he can't keep them up near as much as he probably should. With that crisp, straight boxing that Ankalaev's known for, he's going to be able to find a lot of targets for his striking and for his punching primarily. And that's why I think Ankalaev, though I don't really like putting 4-1 favorites on anybody over 185 pounds, I think Ankalaev is about a 4-1 favorite in this fight, skill for skill.
Yeah, and you know, another thing that Ankalaev is really good at is his body kicks and his leg kicks. Yeah. And one thing we know about Johnny Walker's hands coming down, and just in general, when you're getting torn up to the body, when somebody's landing repeated body kicks and repeated leg kicks, that's going to naturally bring the hands down a little bit, which will really open up the straight punching of Ankalaev. I'm going to pick Ankalaev to win this fight.
Right.
Everything you said I agree with. Johnny Walker's explosive early. Johnny Walker's got a lot of power. He is somebody that is very dangerous in the early parts of the fight, but this is the main event. Mm-hmm. This is a 5-round fight, so Ankalaev has the luxury to even concede the first round if he wants to.
Yeah.
So I think Ankalaev is going to work his pace. He's not going to be roped into a high-pace, explosive firefight with Johnny Walker from the beginning. He's going to keep his distance. I don't think the first round of this fight is going to be all that entertaining, and I think Magomed Ankalaev is going to be the reason for that. I think he's going to circle, he's going to jab, he's going to throw a few low kicks, he's going to look to see what sort of reads he can make on Johnny Walker. He probably will, in a safe fashion, try to find himself on the inside, maybe in the clinch position, get Johnny Walker to the ground and try to zap a little energy in rounds 1 and 2 before he tries to get him out of there and close the show in rounds 3, 4, and 5. And I do think Magomed Ankalaev is going to get a finish because I think he's going to game plan and really seek that finish. It could be a decision where he sort of takes control of the fight in the second half and really starts to dominate and show how much more well-rounded he is than Walker. But the thing about Ankalaev, and a few instances with his past couple of years with the UFC, just things haven't gotten right. They haven't connected on all levels.
Right.
And there's a lot of fun fighters and there's a lot of fun faces at 205. You know, Jamal Hill is coming back at some point, and they're going to want to put Alex Pereira in there with somebody who's going to play ball, somebody who's going to be an exciting potential contender for him. And I think Magomed needs to get a finish to solidify himself the title shot. I think a decision victory over Johnny Walker might not do the trick in order to get him a title shot, and I think Magomed knows that. I think he wants to get an electric performance, and he wants to make a statement as the first fight in 2024 with an emphatic KO finish.
Agreed. These two are definitely going to set the tone for the year, and I think it's going to be a great main event for the first fight night. And Magomed is such a stoic character. He doesn't seem to be fazed by hardly anything, and he's got this great, beautiful record, 18-1 or something really impressive like that. But after that draw that he thought he truly got robbed against Jan Blachowicz in, it seemed like he developed a real chip on his shoulder. And I think now we're going to see the next evolution of Magomed Ankalaev. I think we're going to see a pissed off guy that's going to go in there and try to finish everybody that he's in there from here on out with, because he understands that there is a promotional side to this game. And while the UFC does a pretty good job at going off the merit system, and this guy's won this many fights, he deserves to be in a title fight, they also know how to play ball when it comes to entertainers and characters, and they know how to fast track fighters. So Ankalaev has to make himself an undeniable number one contender, and I think finishing Johnny Walker will do exactly that. And that's why I think, regardless of what Johnny Walker comes in with, which is going to be a ton of unpredictable striking, some interesting stuff, I think Ankalaev's going to go in there with the same sort of tenacity Johnny Walker has of, I need to get this guy out of here as quickly as possible. And that's why I see this fight ending in a submission choke. I think Ankalaev's going to get in there and kind of dog walk him. He's going to big brother him, get the big body Johnny Walker to the ground early, and then start to, basically zap all of his energy by making him carry the weight. He's not really going to look for, submissions over position or anything like that. He's got vicious ground and pound. I think he's going to utilize a lot of that to try to cook Johnny Walker just a little bit. And then once he has him a bit exhausted, he's going to start to look for easier and easier takedowns. He's going to get him and eventually get to the back and choke Johnny Walker out. That's how I see it going, probably round 2 or 3. But I think it's very important for him not only to finish Johnny Walker, but to do some impressive things on the feet as well, so the UFC doesn't forget this guy's really good everywhere. He's not a boring fighter. He's very entertaining, and he's the rightful number one contender, especially after knocking off a great character and a very entertaining guy in Johnny Walker. I think 205 is in great hands right now, but Ankalaev is absolutely the future of that division.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And even though I'm picking KO and you're picking submission, we're both taking Ankalaev in this one.
Yes, sir.